This is An American President. Just add puppet, then vote and repeat every 4 years.
Well, we know this. The country is in dire, dire straits. TPP's in place basically now. What would you do as president? If you were elected president under your constitutional powers, what would you do in the first month?
Well, first of all, I'd have to have good people with me to tell me exactly what my constitutional powers are. And then once learning that, what I would do, some of the first things I would do, I would pull us out of the Middle East. We would not be fighting a war over there anymore.
Would you put Ron Paul in your cabinet?
If he wanted to be, absolutely. I'd love to put him in charge of the banks.
Secretary of Treasury.
Yeah. I'd love to put Ron Paul, because he's a brilliant guy, and when it comes to the central bank stuff, there's not a guy I know that knows better than him.
Very exciting. What else would you do? Would you continue like Obama's done, the war on marijuana?
No, that's another thing I would do. I would stop the entire war on drugs. It's a miserable failure, and my belief is this. Addiction should not be treated criminally. It should be treated medically. You can be addicted to caffeine. How many people out there that listen to you, Alex, have to get up and have a morning cup of coffee?
I'm addicted.
To get their caffeine going.
I'm addicted.
Well, what's the difference between that and all the other ones?
Hey, these energy drinks are like cocaine or something.
You're damn right. And the point is nothing. My point is that the government, you should not be convicted of anything that you do with your own body. That's your business. You talk about the Fourth Amendment, illegal search, a reasonable search and seizure. How is it reasonable for them to check your body for what you want to put into it or ingest in it? Now, don't get me wrong. If you take drugs and go rob the bank, I will prosecute you for robbing the bank. I don't give a damn what you took that made you do it. You'll get prosecuted for the crime.
Oh, yeah, they use drugs as an excuse. I'm sick of that.
I would completely end the war on drugs. Right now, Colorado is making $1 billion this year selling marijuana. The budget for the judiciary in Washington has already dropped 15%. That's massive because of their legalization just of marijuana. Yeah,
they're not prosecuting people and they're taxing it. Let's take a call. Elijah in California, listening on KOMY 1340 AM. They're in Santa Cruz. Go ahead. You're on the air. Welcome.
Now, I want to know what you're going to do with the TPP thing. Mr. Senator Paul is the only one, sadly, to say that has come out against it. Now, if you and him link up, what do you think about that?
Now, that's a good question, Jesse. What would you do to the TPP?
Well, it'd be difficult. I mean, if they pass it through and they sign it, you know, you got to abide by contracts or whatever. I would do everything to end it.
Well, you could bully pulpit against it and get Congress to repeal it.
Yeah, and because to me, these trade agreements, it's one thing if it's a level playing field, but it never is. And in the case of this thing, you're looking at sweatshops, you're looking at slave labor, you're looking at the very things that this country has fought for hundreds of years to get rid of. And it ties directly into our own country's assault on the unions. Now, can unions be bad? Of course they can. They're run by people. And when bad people get power, bad things happen. But unions are still the backbone that created the middle class in this country, collective bargaining.
But they got taken over. And I mean, remember, the unions supported NAFTA and GATT. That's suicide. Let's go ahead but you're right. I mean, it is good to have a checks and balances. Let's go to Robert in Missouri. You're on the air. Go ahead with Jesse Ventura.
Hey, guys, I think the only feasible way, Jesse, if you're really serious about running as an alternative candidate to the two parties, is to basically consolidate a few of the parties together, such as Libertarians, the Constitution Party. And
let me explain. That doesn't work. I tried when I was governor of Minnesota we had 4 or 5 political parties other than the Democrats and Republicans. I held a meeting at the governor's residence. I brought the leaders all together. It was like herding cats. They all got their ego. They all got their main issue. And the one thing we could all agree upon was campaign finance reform. None of us took dirty money. And I said, can't we start from there and build and have one candidate? It was like I said, herding cats. It did no good. So I ended it right there because at the end of the day, we accomplished nothing. Everybody wants to be in charge and nobody will listen to anybody else.
That's right. My show, trying to build a coalition of people that are against being conquered by these foreign banks. I mean, while we're all fighting with each other over petty issues, we've been conquered, and now they're getting rid of the entire Bill of Rights and Constitution.
Yep.
Let's go to Chad in Washington. Chad, you're on the air with Jesse Ventura. We're skipping this network break. Go ahead, Chad.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to know what you plan on doing about geoengineering. Because I know you had Ken Caldera on a while back.
Yes, Governor. Chemtrailing, these secret programs they admit are going on but are classified. What would you do as president?
Well, to me, everything should be declassified after a certain length of time because we are the boss, the American people. And how dare them use our tax dollars to do things and not tell us what they do with it? It's that simple. I and you have the right to know what our taxes are spent on. We have every right to know that, and to me, that is a major right. You have the major right to know what they're spending your money on, and if they're spending it on chemtrails, we need to know why, how, and what for.
Okay, let's talk to Trish in Canada. Trish, you're on the air with Jesse Ventura.
Good day, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good.
Governor, would you comment on blue gold, our planet's water supply?
Well, it's in trouble because you can see the big guy in Texas bought all that land. I forget his name now, by the aquifer in Oklahoma. The guy with the funny name down there.
Yeah, T-Boone Pickens.
Yeah, there you go, T-Bone. I always forget. Yeah, he bought all that land. Plus, a fifth of the world's fresh water is the Great Lakes. And they're already you're not allowed to take water from the Great Lakes, but as usual, they left an out. They left a loophole. You can go to a tributary and suck out all the water you want. So the Great Lakes are falling at a drastic rate. The other thing...
They ship it to China.
Well, it's true. The other thing is this fracking. A lot of people think it's wonderful that we got fracking to get oil. No, it's not, because they trade water for oil. And the water that's used in fracking is unusable for like 30 years or something like that or longer. And I do not want to trade water for oil because if I'm out in the desert, Alex, and I'm dying of starvation and I come across a bottle of water or a can of oil, which one would I need to drink to survive?
Well, Common Core says 2 + 2 = 5, so I guess you drink the oil.
Well, unfortunately, I picked the water.
Well, that's because you're a conspiracy theorist.
As we all know, you can't survive drinking oil.
Oh, I was being sarcastic, absolutely. I want to play a short piece of what Ron Paul said about an hour and a half ago here on the broadcast with us about the state of the world economy and get your take on that. Jesse Ventura is our guest. Let's go ahead and play this clip.
Yeah, I think for the not to come would be a surprise to me. And you've been involved in this a long time. I mean, it wasn't like you didn't know what was happening with the housing bubble. And we had the NASDAQ bubble. And now we have other bubbles. We still have another stock market bubble, and there's another housing bubble going on. But the big bubble, I think, is in the bond bubble. It's been going on for 35 years, taking interest rates from 21% down to actually negative. And they've been getting away with it. So this means distortion. Not only is there money involved, but it distorted all the investment over these periods of time. And the biggest distortion that it encourages debt. It encourages debt for a lot of people, but in particular government. And as long as our government is able to print the reserve currency, it's going to limp along, even though our economy is limping along. But that will come to an end. And right now we're starting to see the whole thing coming apart. I mean, we look at Detroit as an example. We see what's happening in Greece. They're worrying about what's going to happen, after Greece is recognized as actually totally bankrupt. There'll be other countries. This distortion has been going on for so long. Most people think that when governments print money, that the only thing that happens is that prices go up as a consequence of inflation. And a lot of that is true, and it's a serious problem and destroys the middle class and the poor. But to me, the bigger distortion is the lack of pricing for money and causing people to do dumb things. And that's why they overbuild and overinvest and governments overspend. And then you have the Keynesians still in charge that says that the solution for this is just to spend more money and print more money, and that's coming to an end. The day of reckoning is at hand.
The day of reckoning is at hand. Governor Ventura, you did a whole special banking report on this, I guess about 4 years ago, on one of your hit TV program episodes. Went to Wall Street, interviewed the experts. They even admitted that we were right about this. Now Puerto Rico says they're going bankrupt. Most counties are bankrupt. Most cities are. People aren't self-sufficient. I mean, government's digging in. Elites are moving to armored redoubts. What does Jesse Ventura and his gut think is really going on?
Well, you know, it's a bad situation because we've allowed this debt to run wild. As Congressman Paul said, I mean, the last time I heard a child born today starts its life off $50,000 in debt. Now, that's ridiculous. That's obscene. And that child's not even going to get a job for 18 years. How far in debt will that child be 18 years after being born with the way that we have ignored? And who's to blame for all this? The Democrats and Republicans, because they've been in charge for 150 years, and they are responsible. I've said it before. If they would run their home finances like they ran the governments, they'd be street people living out of bags. But this is what it's turned into. I think the biggest problem is this debt is going to come home to roost. And when it does, I don't know what the results are going to be, Alex.
I know this. It's got me guaranteed wanting to get a place even further out in the country. And thank God for the Second Amendment. Jesse Ventura Appeal Fund, they're trying to, 33 to Goliath, are trying to stop him and overturn his victory against Chris Kyle. And the fable he told, according to the jury, totally made up. Jury found it. Judge wrote a big 20-something page opinion saying dead on. P.O. Box 10629, White Bear Lake, Minnesota 55110. And look, we're going to lose everything. There's so many middle-class and wealthy people who aren't globalists who sit back on the sidelines. You're not safe doing that. It's all coming down. You got to be all in or we're going to lose it. And we got more calls for you, but I know you have to go. Jesse Ventura, our guest, Infowars.com, of course, is our news site. A ton of news we haven't even gotten to. Today I'm going to do some overdrive after he leaves us to get to some of these breaking top stories at Infowars.com. But in the last minute we have, sir, closing comments.
Well, first of all, Alex, I'll say this. If you want me on more or weekly or every other week, I'm happy to do it.
Please get a PayPal or a Kickstarter, because that's how you're really going to get support.
I'm just happy to come on with you and keep talking and waking people up.
Oh, I know. I mean, I go on your show. You invite me on your TV and radio show. I want to do it. I mean, I understand you're saying that you want to come on just to talk, but I'm saying I want to raise a bunch of money to help you win this thing, brother.
Well, I'll get to all that, but that's important. But the important thing is making vigilant citizens out there and waking people up and taking our country back. And we can do it at the ballot box. We still have that power. And I just like to finish and say thank you, Alex, for all your support. You've been terrific, and we'll keep the fight going as long as we possibly can. I mean, I'm in for the duration, and we'll see what happens on this deal. But thanks to all your listeners out there, and I really, really appreciate it. And always remember, the truth will set you free. The truth is still an ultimate good thing, no matter what they tell you.
All right, let me say bye to you during the break. Absolutely. And not only is this cause just, when I'm somebody's friend, I'm their friend. So I stand with Jesse Ventura. Please stand with him, with me. This is a very important fight.
To celebrate the birth of our country and give a big thanks to all the info warriors out there, we are now offering free shipping on every item shipped out of the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse. That's free shipping on all t-shirts, books, and DVDs. Free shipping on Molon Labe and 1776 belt buckles, which are also 25% off while supplies last. Free shipping on all of our InfoWarsLife.com nutraceuticals. If it's in the InfoWarsStore.com warehouse, it's shipping for free, all during the month of July. It's our way of saying thanks to the true heart and soul of this operation, who stand beside us and support us as we wage an info war for liberty and freedom for all. InfoWarsStore.com, free shipping for the month of July. This is an American president. Just add puppet, then vote and repeat every 4 years.
Well, we know this. The country is in dire, dire straits. TPP's in place basically now. What would you do as president?
You should not be convicted of anything that you do with your own body. That's your business. You talk about the Fourth Amendment, illegal search, a reasonable search and seizure. How is it reasonable for them to check your body for what you want to put into it or ingest in it? Now, don't get me wrong. If you take drugs and go rob the bank, I will prosecute you for robbing the bank. I don't give a damn what you took that made you do it. You'll get prosecuted for the crime. Miserable failure, and my belief is this. Addiction should not be treated criminally. It should be treated medically. You can be addicted to caffeine. How many people out there that listen to you, Alex, have to get up and have a morning cup of coffee?
I'm addicted.
To get their caffeine going.
I'm addicted.
Well, what's the difference between that and all the other ones?
Hey, nothing. These energy drinks are like cocaine or something.
You're damn right. And the point is nothing. My point is that the government, absolutely, I'd love to put him in charge of the banks.
Secretary of Treasury.
Yeah. I'd love to put Ron Paul, because he's a brilliant guy, and when it comes to the central bank stuff, there's not a guy I know that knows better than him.
Very exciting. What else would you do? Would you continue like Obama's done, the war on marijuana?
No, that's another thing I would do. I would stop the entire war on drugs.
If you were elected president under your constitutional powers, what would you do in the first month?
Well, first of all, I'd have to have good people with me to tell me exactly what my constitutional powers are. And then once learning that, what I would do, some of the first things I would do, I would pull us out of the Middle East. We would not be fighting a war over there anymore.
Would you put Ron Paul in your cabinet?
If he wanted to be, absolutely.